In today's lesson, we will be looking at Ready Lesson 8, Determining Theme. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to recognize broader messages in works of literature as themes, identify how characters' thoughts, feelings, and actions point to a story's theme, understand how a character's development can reveal a story's theme. So first, let's go over what a theme of a story is. Remember that a theme of a story is a message or lesson that an author wants to convey. Some examples of themes are stealing is wrong, stand up for your beliefs, or hard work always pays off. Most stories have some kind of theme, and that theme is an important element of fiction. The theme enables readers to connect a story to their own lives and to relate to the characters. Without a theme, readers might lose interest in a story. So let's think of a story that we might all be familiar with. For example, King Midas. For those of you who don't know, King Midas wished that everything he touches would turn to gold, and his wish was granted. However, he would then no longer be able to touch food or people. So if we were to try to find about a theme in this specific story, a theme from the story of King Midas might be careful what you wish for. Now, it's important for you to understand theme because identifying the theme of a story will help you better appreciate what you read and understand what you read. So let's look at Lesson 8. It says, you may read fiction for pleasure or entertainment, but did you know that most stories also provide lessons about life? These lessons are expressed through the themes or messages at the heart of what the author writes. Even your childhood stories have themes. For example, the story Pinocchio may have taught you the important lesson about honesty. To identify a theme, connect ideas conveyed through the story's setting, plot, and characters. Study the image and caption below. Think about the message being conveyed. So the caption under the picture says, a blind runner and his guide approached the finish line during a Paralympic event in Malaysia. Now, suppose the people in the picture are characters in a story. Consider what they are doing. Circle any details in the picture and caption that suggest a message or a life lesson. So let's go back to the picture and the caption and let's circle details. Looking at the picture, I can see that obviously we have a blindfold on this man, and I can see that they're holding a string that's holding them together as they run. I also see in the caption that it says a blind runner and his guide. So these are all details that I would want to circle. Now going back down to the chart, the character details is that there is one sighted runner acting as a guide and one blind runner who wants to be in a race. The setting details is a track and field event for people with disabilities. The action details are the two runners are approaching the finish line. And the theme is, no matter what obstacle they face, people can accomplish amazing things through teamwork. So whether you read for pleasure, entertainment, or a school assignment, you can learn valuable lessons from stories. Thinking carefully about a story's characters, settings, and plot and how they work together will help you figure out or infer the story's theme. Let's move on to the next page. Read the beginning of a story about a boy named Holden and his grandfather. Holden and Pops. When you're at your grandfather's after school, be sure to do something other than sit by yourself playing video games, Holden. I know, Mom, but what else is there to do? Whined Holden, washing cereal bowls. Have you ever tried to show him one of your games? At least you'd be doing something together, Mom suggested. Oh, Pops wouldn't be interested, Holden shrugged, as they headed out to the car. Plus, he'd never catch on. You know how he is about big, scary technology. As Holden got out of the car, Mom tried once more. You know, Pops might surprise you. Keep your options open. You might even ask him about the big, scary technology sometime. Holden puzzled over her words on the way to school. So it says, explore how to answer this question. What do the details in this part of the story suggest about how some people sometimes judge others? In most stories, authors do not state a theme directly. To figure out an author's message, you need to look for key details and see how they develop over the course of the text. So it says, identify key details about each character's attitudes and opinions, then complete the chart below. Now, this part of the story is about Holden and his mother, so I'm going to focus on the details that describe their actions and feelings. Now, these story details should reveal a theme or central idea of this part of the story. At the beginning of the story, Holden remarks that his grandfather wouldn't be interested in video games, and he says, "You know how he is about big, scary technology." Now, Holden's mother asks Holden if he has ever tried to show his grandfather one of the video games. And he says, no, obviously, and then she says that Pops might surprise you. So Holden seems to think that his grandfather would never be interested in video games because he thinks he doesn't understand the technology. However, his mother's words suggest that she feels that his grandfather is more interesting than Holden thinks he is. So let's go ahead and fill out the chart with that information. So our character Holden, he said that Pops wouldn't be interested in games and thinks technology is scary. So his attitude towards Pops is that he thinks Pops doesn't understand technology. The mother said, she suggested that Pops might be interested in video games and knows something about technology. So she seems to feel that Pops is more interesting than Holden thinks. Let's continue reading. So it says, that afternoon, Holden sat hunkered over his video game controller, making vintage airplanes swoop across the stream. "What you doing, son?" Pop asked. "Just a game," Holden answered distractedly. Then, remembering Mom's advice, he made himself ask, "Wanna see?" Pop settled next to Holden and immediately exclaimed, "Say, is that plane a Tomahawk? You know she can go up to 20,000 feet to evade that enemy fighter." Holden pivoted the gap in shock. Pop shrugged and said, "Didn't I ever tell you about the Tomahawk I flew in 41? So let's look at the close read. It says on page 70, Holden doesn't want to spend time with his grandfather. On this page, circle words that tell how Holden's feelings change. Notice how a character's changes can help you understand a story's theme. So, going back into the text, I can see a couple of things. First, he changed the fact that he asked his grandfather whether he would be interested or not. So, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to circle "wanna see" because that shows that he's making a change of heart. He's trying to show his grandfather. It also said that he had pivoted to gape in shock. So that's obviously showing that his behavior changed. So let's go down to the question. It says, which statement best expresses the theme of the story? Is it A, strong family bonds can develop only through shared interests? B, people from different generations have little in common? C, children should always listen to advice from their parents? Or D, assuming things about people may stop us from really knowing them? Well, going through all the answer choices, A doesn't really make sense. Holden and Pops develop a bond over the video game, but the story never suggests family bonds can only be developed through shared interests. B is really not the best choice either because it suggests how Holden feels at the beginning of the story, not necessarily how his attitude changes. C doesn't really make sense either because Holden did learn from his mother's advice, but that is not the main theme of this story. So the best answer choice would be D. Excuse me, because Holden assumes Pops wouldn't be interested in this video game. But that was incorrect. He didn't know that his Pops had flew an exact airplane just like that in 1941. So it says, look at the answer you chose. Explain how specific text details help you choose that answer. So the text details that help us understand this answer is that of what I just stated, which is Holden assumed Pops wouldn't be interested in his video game, but that was incorrect. Okay, go ahead and click on part 2 for the guided instruction for this lesson.